What up, you queef nuggets? Hendog here, and I'm back with a different type of video. I want to get into how I made some songs, and I want to start it off with how I made I Got a DUI, baby. That ass, though. I started off this song with a simple melody. So this is the melody I came up with. So I was like, okay, I like that. I like the way that sounds. It's giving me a vibe already. And so I saved that melody as a WAV file because it would be easier to manipulate it. And I wanted to make a couple more variations of that same melody. So it's the same melody, but it's 3 different variations of it, which kind of makes the listener feel like the song is evolving and changing. It's kind of like a little cheat code for you music producers out there. So yeah, once I had those 3 variations, I wanted to work on the foundation of the beat. So the main melody that I thought of initially, that I showed you guys at the beginning, I wanted to build on that. So I started working on the drums. I hear that melody and I was like, okay, let's add an 808. So this is the 808 that I came up with. I heard that and I was like, okay, this shit sounds really hard. And so I was like, okay, let's make the 808 sound a little bit punchier. So I layered a kick drum on top of the 808. Let's add a clap. And I added 2 claps, and this is the first clap that I added. Here's the second clap. And then I added some snares. And then I added a hi-hat. And then I added a open hi-hat on top of the 808 to kind of accentuate certain parts of the bounce, to make it just bounce a little bit better, you know what I mean? So that is pretty much what makes up all the drums and the foundation of the beat. And then another part of the melody that is part of the bridge, like our pre-hook, I guess you could call it, I used a flute, which sounds like this. And I layered that flute with a piano, which is the exact same melody throughout the whole song. And on top of that, I layered a synth bass. And together with drums, before the hook, this is what it sounds like. And I also added some effects to help with transitions. And so that is what makes up the entire beat. So the main thing that I want to teach you guys though is how I mess with vocals and how I make them sit on the beats the way that they do. Normally when I start off making these songs, I'll have all the chops, all the audio clips loaded into the project, but they're not on time. So I have to manually change either like one individual word or like a small phrase that has like 3 words, or maybe even long, like a long sentence if the rhythm somehow matches the beat. But a lot of times these videos, they don't match the beat automatically because they're just R-worded funny videos that aren't intended to be music. So what I do is once I have every single audio chop that I want to use, I then have to make it on beat. And by doing that, I click on this top left little wave looking symbol here and I go to make unique. And then what that does is that gives me the ability to stretch it either shorter or longer. And if I make it shorter, then it'll sound faster. If I make it longer, it'll sound slower. Here, let me give you an example. So let's say for the hook. right? It sounds good. But let's say when I first loaded the vocal into the project, let's say the original phrase sounded like this.
My eyebrows,
I was like, that sounds a little bit slow.
my eyebrows wrong flick.
So then I made sure that the stretch mode was on. I made sure that my snap was set to none, and I shortened it.
My eyebrows wrong flick.
Maybe a little bit faster.
My eyebrows wrong flick.
Bam. So I was like, okay, that's on beat. So I have to do that exact process with every single chop that you see in this project. You see all these chops? I do that process, either making it faster or slower, I guess, and make sure that it's able to ride the beat the way I hear it in my head. The mistake I hear a lot of producers make when making these like remixes is it sounds like they'll just take the audio from these videos and then just slap it on top of a beat, and it won't even match the beat. It'll just kind of, the vocals will just be there off beat, which doesn't really help with the groove of the song. So that is the biggest tip I can give you in terms of how to make vocals sound on beat when they're not necessarily supposed to. So once I have all these vocals chopped up and on beat, I then take my favorite chops that sound the best on beat and make that the hook. And I try to make it so that like the main catchphrase of this cool guy is in the hook. And sometimes that can be a challenge, but sometimes it just works out that way. So in this example, I wanted to make sure that I got a DUI, baby. I wanted to make sure that was in the hook somewhere. Once I heard my eyebrows are on fleek on beat and it was just riding the beat perfectly, I was like, okay, this can be part of the hook, and it rhymes somehow. I lucked out because on fleek, I got a DUI, baby, on fleek, like it rhymes, so it makes it almost sound like he's legit rapping on a mic in the studio. So yeah, once I have my favorite chops, that's usually the hook, and I try to use the main catchphrase in the hook somewhere as well. And then in the verse, I'll use like more R-worded sound bites. For example, like I start off the first verse with Tony John's crying about a girl named Emily, I believe. Let me see.
I just wanna say, let's mess this for Katie.
Sorry, Katie, man. How dare you break Tony John's heart? And he even started crying.
Let's mess this for Katie. I tried so hard for this girl.
So yeah, like I wanted to structure the song in a way to kind of tell a story for the verse, right? So use more like funny sounding phrases, and then for the hook, make it more catchy. And so that's kind of like the formula I like to use in most of my songs. So that's how I made I Got a DUI, baby.
Baby, my eyebrows wrong flick. My teeth are white, baby. On flick. I got a DUI, baby. On flick. My teeth are white, baby. On flick. I got a DUI, baby. Eyebrows wrong flick.
I also want to mention the day that I made this song, I had just had a surgery, and I was high as hell on perks. And that was the first time I've ever tried it. Maybe it influenced and inspired the way it sounded. I'm not sure, but I love the way this song came out. So maybe it played a role. But regardless, I ain't gonna be doing perks consistently, or maybe even ever again. But anyway, just thought I would tell you guys that little funny story. This is my first time making this type of video, so my bad if I sound like a complete noob, but different. You know what I'm saying? One last thing before I go here. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's rocked with me at any point throughout the past year. It honestly means the world to me. Thank you so much. Anyway.
Ta-ta there, retard.